If you ever doubt or wonder what all your spouse does or how you make it without them, if you ever want to test that and just find out the hard way or the real way, have a time when they're down and they're not able to do all that they once could. Thought this was going to be an easy job, but Blizzard's getting back. He's like, I don't like the sound of that. That could pop at any minute. But we also found a really cool surprise out in the goat pen. Whew, I got hit in the face. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are on phase 2 of the fence building project. If y'all missed phase 1, go back, watch the last video. You can see us getting everything set up, the post holes dug, post set and all that. So now we're getting started on the H braces. I've set up a couple little jigs that I think are going to help make this a little bit quicker because I developed a system. I know last time whenever I was doing the last fence, cutting the cross braces that go in the H braces, had a few little issues with it. I think I've got something worked out that's going to make it a lot easier. Since I only have 4 to do total, I'm not going to drag out the saw, power bank and all that. I'm just going to mark one, drive up, cut it, bring it back and set it in. And as long as we get all of our cuts done right the first time, it should be a pretty easy project to get done. So I have some tools I need to use for like putting in the cross brace itself, and then some for putting in the wire bracing on top of that. So I'm probably gonna put all the wood post in first, the cross braces, and then I'll come back and do the wire, twitch wire, whatever, for all the others at the end. So stick around, you'll see what that process is like, and hopefully we get this done pretty quick. It is super hot out today. I think it's gonna be 80 something degrees, and after the rain it's very humid, and so I don't know, hopefully we won't be covered in sweat quite as bad as yesterday when we got the post done. But I'm just ready to get this done so we can get post set and get a fence put in here and let these animals on this lush grass back out in this pasture. Can't wait for that. So let's get started and see how this goes. Okay, I will say this, we're going to kind of tell you what we're doing along the way, but this I wouldn't say is necessarily a real how-to because we're not professionals in this and still trying to figure out what works for us along the way. But this is how we do it, and it's working for us, and so you might enjoy that too. So the cross braces, they say, should go between 2/3 and 3/4 the height of your fence. Our fence wire that we're actually using is 48 inches tall, but then we're going to put barbed wire over the top of it. Not really found anything clear if it's talking about the whole fence as a whole or the main wire. So what we're doing is we're marking up 42 inches from where the ground is, and we're going to use that as our starting point for our cross braces, and I'll explain what I mean by that in just a minute. And you want roughly where the natural ground falls, and we've still got a little bit of stuff in the middle, so we're just kind of eyeballing that to get right. Like this one's going to be pretty good. I used to do that was, I had to figure it out was wrong. It makes sense after I got to reading up about it. It's used to, instead of running the cross braces parallel with the ground, what I would do is I would run them a true level because I thought that that's the way it should be and it should look better. But then after I got to understanding and thinking more about how the fence pulls and stuff like that, it makes sense that it needs to go the same angle that the fence is pulling. And so what we're doing is we're actually going to go with the contour of the ground when we measure these up and place these cross braces in there. So you'll see they're not a true level, but they are level or parallel with the ground. So that's the main thing on that. I've got my 2 spots marked. I'm going to put up some support boards to hold the post up. That way I can show you how I'm going to mark it. Okay, so for this, what we're going to do is we are going to line our board up roughly where the screws are going to be in the middle of the post, and that should hold it fairly straight along the contour of the post. And then on these, we do want them a true level because our post is going to be sitting on it, and we want it to be level to make marking go a little bit better. Which one of the problems is our board here is a little bit warped, so maybe off a little bit it's going to work for what we need. Oh, unless you do that, make sure you hold that whenever you do it. Like I said, that one's off a little bit, but I think it's still going to work. Okay, so now what we're going to do is grab our post. We're going to set it here against our other post. The main problem with this is trying to mark this on a round post is kind of hard because it sticks out farther here than over here where the actual post is. If you're using square post, this is a lot easier to do. But I figured out a system. There may be a better way to do it, but this is the way I do it. So what I do is, see a little better. Okay, so I've got this post where it's still a little bit of overlap, but you want them where they're up tight, where they're actually going to be. And what I did is I take this board along the front of the post where it's lined up even with the post, and then I give me a line and I draw it over here. I'm going to do the same thing on the other end of the post. What I actually do now is, okay, this line here is actually a 2x4 width too far. So to make it where it's easier, what I do is I line my 2x4 up with that line, and I'm just going to draw a line on this other side of it. And I'm going to put an arrow to this line because that's the one that I'm wanting to actually cut on. This is just a guide to get me over, and then I use the 2x4 to get it straight. So when I put it in here, it should be a tight fit. I always draw an arrow to the line I'm wanting to cut because everybody knows, yeah, I should know that it's the outside lines, but when you get busy and not thinking about it, sometimes you get in a hurry and you don't think about what you're doing, you cut, and the next thing you know, your post is too short and you just wasted $10 plus tax. And we don't want to have to do that. So we're going to take this up there, cut it, bring it back, and hopefully it fits in well, and I'll show you how I get all that done too. Okay, moment of truth. We're going to find out this thing actually fits. Pretty good fit. It could probably be a little bit tighter, but we've got a solution for it too. So I normally would like this a little bit tighter. So next one I'll probably cut a little bit longer. I'm not sure what got off on that. This board over here, I've got angled too far out. It's not on the part to keep it straight. So instead of what I did is on my guide board, I followed along this board I already had on here, and I can't do that. So I have to keep it flush with this. So we know for next time. But like I said, we're just going to make it work for this time. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a ratchet strap and pull these closer together so that whenever I start drilling holes in these to put the rebar in, I won't have to worry so much about it trying to move. Because even if with it tight, once you start drilling holes and driving rebar, it has a tendency to want to move. And so this will just hold it in a little snugger while we do that. But as for the actual angles that we cut at, those are pretty good where they line up good. It's just the fact that we were off a little. And these, once I release this off after I put the rebar, they may try to separate a little bit, but when we put our cross brace, the wire in there to hold it and tighten it up, it'll pull them back together. And if we have to, we'll put the ratchet strap back on there while we do that. But I don't think it's going to be an issue. And for this, I just kind of eyeball what I think it should be and then come back here and start drilling. I guess these have an overheat thing on them, so you have to undo the battery and put it back on to get them to turn back on. But definitely got to scrape all that out before I do the next side. We were just almost done with this side, so I didn't want to do that. But what I like to do is I'll put the rebar in on this side first, because if not, then what'll happen is sometimes it'll bounce and then it'll be off the line on the other side. Okay, what we're going to do here is cut the rebar. One of these we're going to cut about 12 inches, the other we're going to do about 14. And I'll explain why we're doing that in a minute also. And if you had a bunch of these to do, it would also probably make more sense to go ahead and cut them all at once from the get-go, but we just went and grabbed the stuff and are kind of doing it as we go. There's a 12 and a 14. 12 inch is going to go on this side over here that we just did. And the reason for that is we're going to drive it all the way in. Okay, so that one's going to be off smooth. And this other one we're going to leave out a little over an inch. And the reason is because we're going to use it for our wire when we put it on. The bracing wire. That bit is around 11 inches. We should have it hold most of the way. Okay, so what we did is we left this little stop out here. The reason that is the fence is going to be in front of this, so it's not going to be where something's going to run into it, but our bracing wire will actually loop over the top of this and go at an angle to the bottom of the other post, which we'll use a steep line to hold on that end, and then we'll tighten it up. But like I said, I'll show you that once we get all these cross boards put in, all these others, because I just want to get one step done at a time and then get it knocked out. And then after we get all that done, it'll be time to start putting in some T-post. I don't know if that'll be in this part 2 or if that'll be a part 3, because I'm going to show you some other stuff going on around here too. Okay, I just wanted to show you this after we took off our ratchet strap and we got the brace boards or the support boards off to hang it. It's still tight, so we weren't off that much, because otherwise with just that rebar holding it, it should have pulled back out if they were under that much strain. So pretty good, but we just want it a little bit better. Okay, working the same process on this one. We're gonna get our post, going to measure up 42 inches. Same thing again, but we're going to try to line up better with the post instead of following the contour of our other board that we have. Okay, I'm going to take this up, cut it, and then we'll be right back. Okay, let me just say this. If you ever doubt or wonder what all your spouse does or how you make it without them, if you ever want to test that and just find out the hard way or the real way, have a time when they're down and they're not able to do all that they once could. It's the little things that just go, I know Kimberly does a lot and this is nothing about that, but what this is I just realized I've not had the mic going this whole time. I'm hoping the sound's been okay with the iPhone mic, but I got the microphone on, I turned it on, I put the receiver in the phone, I forgot to turn the receiver on. So all this time I thought y'all were gonna have great audio and all that, but lo and behold, I forgot to turn that on, because a lot of times Kimberly is the one who does the filming, and so she handles all the back end stuff like that, and so it's just the little things that I didn't think anything about. So just another little reminder of the little things she does that makes it where I don't have to think about it. So now we are going to get back to the project, and hopefully the sound's better because I actually have it on. I've got green light on, so everything should be good. I've got this post cut we're fixing to put up, and hopefully it's a little more snug fitting than the other one was. If it's not, I give up. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a really good fit. Yep, that's what it was, is I had the boards backwards, and so they were contoured a little bit different, and I did not check. I'm still going to put the ratchet strap between, because as I'm drilling and hammering, it just seems to hold everything together better. On this one's going to be reversed. The one we're going to leave sticking out is on this end, the bar I'm talking about, because the wire is pulling this way. So you're always going to be at the bottom of the post on your terminal post, and at the top on your brace post. So that's what we're going to do here. I just want to make sure this is all matched up or lined up pretty good. Are you kidding me? This is a brand new battery too. Oh, this is an older one though. May just be getting weak. Could be this drill bit's dull too, I don't know. It's my dad's. I borrowed it from him last time I built fence. I just never gave it back. Evidently he hasn't needed it because he hadn't come looking for it. Those are really wet. You can see the moisture on the bit. If I had very many of these to do, I would go get another battery and see if that wasn't part of the problem too. Okay, one down, now we gotta get the other end. Okay, rebar's in on both ends. We're fixing to take all this stuff loose and make sure it doesn't all fall down. So that worked out. Whew, I got hit in the face. Okay, so we're on to the next process of our fence building project, which is putting on the bracing wire. Like I said, the way this goes, the angle, it's always at the bottom on your far end, and the end that's closest to what way you're pulling is going to be where it's on the high end. So on the low end, what we're going to do is not far off the ground, we're going to take a steeple and just drive it part of the way into the post. You don't want it all the way in because we're going to run our wire through it here in a minute, which this stuff is a pain to deal with. Because you don't want it to kink up, which is what it's doing. I'm going to stretch some of this out first and get it straight, and then I will run it through there, or as straight as it will get. Like I said, this stuff, I'm using a twisted wire this time. I think it'll be a little bit stronger than what the other wire was, because on it, occasionally it would break on us trying to tighten it up. And this stuff on this roll was a little bit, I think overall for the amount of feet you're getting, is a little cheaper than what the other end up being. But what we're going to do is we're going to run it through this bottom steeple. I'm going to go ahead and pull through a bunch. And then we're going to run it around this post over our piece of rebar that's sticking out. Then we're going to go back through again. And we're going to need quite a bit more wire because we're going to make 2 passes through this. Okay, yeah, we still got quite a ways to go. That could have been bad. Like I said, this is one of the reasons I do not like this part of fencing. It's just so cumbersome. Because the other thing is, you don't want to get your wires all twisted up and out of alignment either. So hopefully, yes, we have enough. Slide through here again. And once I get this done, I'll give you a little close-up of what we're actually doing, because I could see how it might look like a mess right now. The main reason is because it is a mess. So we've got that one secured, and we're going to work all the slack backwards that we can, because we're going to be pulling all this out in a minute anyhow. Good grief. We're just going to drive steeples in to hold the end tails of this. Now what we're going to do is get roughly in the middle and start twisting. And then hopefully we get all this twisted up. It looks nice and tight. And the main thing you don't want to do is lose grip of the tool that you're using to twist this with, because I almost broke my wrist, or it felt like it, whenever we were doing the other goat pen, because I was using a short piece of rebar because we were between the fence and barbed wire, and I didn't have that much room to work, so I cut it off short. I lost grip, it spun back and hurt really bad and took a chunk out of my arm. Blizzard's getting back. He's like, I don't like the sound of that. That could pop at any minute. I hope this is not foreshadowing, because you want to go just a little bit more than what you think, because you got to let it off a little. I think that's as far as I want to go. We may go another round or two, and then we'll pull that out. cut a short piece of wire, which I saw this on somebody else building fence one time. We don't always do this, or we didn't growing up. And it was just take a piece of wire. You're just gonna make tight little wraps, and it will work to keep your twine from unraveling, or the wire from unraveling over time. Like I said, I don't really know for sure if it works, but the fencing people I were watching seemed to think that it did, so I was like, can't hurt anything, because normally don't put anything on here. And I'm just going ahead and working it around to make sure that there's not any pieces that are going to stick out that anybody or an animal would get against that's going to poke them. You want to make sure that's at the right angle that won't happen. I think that'll work. But now it's still good and tight. Now we'll just take this, hammer our first steeple in, take these ends of the wire, hammer them around where they're not sticking out either. Okay, and that one's done. Okay, so to show you what we did, right down there is where the steeples are that are holding the end, and what we did is we made 2 loops around this, and this is how that little piece of rebar we left hanging out works. The wire sits on top of it. You could always use steeples or something like that, because that's what we used to do back in the past before I saw this method, because growing up we always just toenailed nails in to hold the post in instead of driving the rebar through. It held for years, but I saw this, so we figured we'd go that route, and so far it's all looking pretty good. Now we just got to move on to the next one. See one good rainbow. It's a double rainbow. You can just barely see the other one right over here. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but like I said, in the naked eye you can see it right over here. Okay, we got all the corner braces and stuff up, and I started driving a few posts. I'm probably not going to film any of that on the fence because it's just loud and noisy, and it's just the same thing over and over. But right now we got some rain coming in. We've been having rain off and on every couple of days, and I'm trying to get the garden dried out where I can finish getting it planted. But I've got to make a repair first. If y'all will remember, I think I showed this last year. The gas tank on this, it had a bunch of holes rusted out in the bottom of it, and I used some epoxy stuff to fix it. Well, it's full of rust and stuff again, so I'm just going to replace the tank and kind of show you how I'm going to get that taken care of. Okay, this is definitely not a how-to because, for one, not really professional, there's not a lot to it, and number 2, I don't know how many of y'all are actually using a tiller like this, but it's basically 3 bolts that hold this tank on, and then it's got the gas line. I've already taken them off the old one, and then I just got to work out how to get all of this off. I got the bolts out, and I just got to get the gas line now. But the new one came with gas line, but I don't know if it's going to be the same size or not. I would assume probably similar since it is for this engine, but who knows. Right now I'm just working this gas line off. But no, I'd replaced the carburetor on this thing, and like I said, I had the gas tank all cleaned out and all, but whenever I checked this year to get it was all full of rust, and I do not want to have to replace the carburetor again. So rather than fill it full of junk, I just didn't fill it up, and I'm just going to, like I said, replace the gas tank on it if I can get this one off. Ouch. Well, skip my knuckles on that. Okay, so this gas tank pretty much looks like the other one, except for the other one has a plastic piece on the end that the gas line goes on instead of metal like that one. I don't know if that's going to matter, but I bought an aftermarket one on Amazon. Okay, that gas line is way too big for that, which means I'm probably going to have to take this all the way off back to the carburetor, and I wasn't really wanting to have to do that because this gas line is quite a bit smaller, and I would assume that it would fit on the carburetor, but if it didn't, I don't know. So let's see instead how this comes off, because maybe we can just take this off and put it on the other tank. Oh, yeah, see how that's all gummed up? That's just nasty. Yeah, that filter was made onto that. So we're going to have to keep this. So I guess I am going to have to run the line all the way back. Thought this was going to be an easy job, but should have known nothing here is easy. Yeah, I guess we'll do that and then just make sure that that gas line will actually fit on back there too. Not a fan of small engine repair, but I can manage. I think we're going to take this off to be able to see a little better. So that needs to be blown out anyhow, so we'll do that before we get started real big with it. So the biggest thing is I thought this was going to be easy so I get done before the rain. I don't have an extension for this that will work that well, so we're just going to use a screwdriver. I think I am going to take this little protective sleeve though, even though this is a smaller fuel line. At least slide it over so that it's got some protection in there. And I would assume that this would be okay to do since it is the specific model for this, or the specific replacement for this model. But I know with anything else aftermarket, there's no guarantees. Little clamp won't even go over that. As tight as it's fitting, I may not even need it though. We're at least going to try this, and if it looks like it won't work, I can always get a clamp and go around that. So it's not the end of the world. It's just not ideal. Oh, I do need that though. It's a gasket that was on it, which it came with a replacement one, I think. But that one's a different shape, so I'm just gonna leave well enough alone. I lost my protective sleeve, so I'll slide it on once I get this other stuff put on. Don't laugh at my rigged up tools, because this, with this little bitty tiny socket, it just came with that little bitty plastic nut driver that it goes on, or handle that it goes on, and so I couldn't get enough torque on it to get these loose earlier, so I just made up my own system. I had a screwdriver that fit just right inside there, and it gave me a lot more torque. And this is not a high pressure line because it doesn't have a pump, and so I shouldn't run into the issue like I did with the Gator where things fell apart. So I'm just going to take this protective coating or sleeve, slide it up around this just to give it a little more protection up in there. Then the clamp will work on this end because this is what actually came with the gas tank, so it should fit on it no problem. We'll put this on the gas tank. Okay, I got it on that one. It's going to have to be cut off some, otherwise it's going to have a kink in it. Put this back on first. Get all these started before I tighten anything down, because sometimes you'll try to tighten something down and it'll shift just a little bit and then you can't get the other ones in. Okay, now let's see how this is going to look. We're going to have to cut off quite a bit of this line. Cut that right there. Pull this sleeve out. Cut it off where it'll go in there a little farther. Hopefully getting this is not a mistake, much like our last Amazon cheap buy. Well, that's good, that lined up, so that's a good sign. Like I said, the moment of truth will be if this thing fires up. And that's what I'm trying to outrun. May stay south of us for a little bit because it's just patchy. Probably am just going to go ahead and put this filter back on though and blow it out later because I don't want water to get down in here, and plus I just want to see if this thing will work. And then whenever I take it out, fill up the tires with air, then I can blow it out. Get some fresh gas. I don't want to go too crazy with the gas right now, which this one doesn't hold I think as much as the other one did, but just in case I have any leaks or problems, I won't lose as much because everybody knows gas is super high right now. Okay, we're gonna give this thing a couple pulls and see what happens. Oh, Y'all let me forget. I guess it helps it has the spark plug attached. I had to take that off to get to that bolt. Okay. The throttle on it, or I guess the engine rev sounds a little rough, but I think it was a little off before too, and it's just maybe the age of the unit and all. It's just getting on up there, but it works. That's the main thing. So now we can try to go get it worked up and get our rest of our peppers put in before this rain hits. So we finally got all the H-braces done, and I also drove some post. I didn't actually film this part because it's basically just hammering in post, and it's loud and monotonous. But I've got one little spot here which I had to skip quite a bit. I've marked where the posts are going to go just so I know how many I need. I need 5 through here. But I don't know if you can see on video, but there's it's pretty much the ditch where we dug for our water line going to the house that I guess it kind of sunk in over time, but it's really low. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get some dirt from out here and fill this in and pack it down before I put the post in to try to keep it somewhat more level. It's still going to be downhill, but it's just got this really deep swag right here, and I'm just wanting to kind of level that off before I put it up. Otherwise, there's going to be some dips under the fence that I don't want to have. But I've got a few posts that are out of alignment there. I see a couple at the top, but once we go to put in the wire, they should straighten up. But we've got all those in. Like I said, I've only got 5 more to go. But we also found a really cool surprise out in the goat pen. We're fixing to take you and show you what that is. Okay, so here's what we've been dealing with. We had a few chickens who kept getting out of the chicken pen, and one of them's name is Pepper. And she came out here to the goat pen and decided she wanted to stay out here and live. The other two got where they were going in and out of the chicken pen. But she decided to stay out here and live. She made a nest back here and laid some eggs. And she hadn't been with a rooster for a while, so I was like, didn't think anything about it. Was like, she's just sitting on, we'll let her sit on, it's not going to hurt anything. But then we came out here and look right there. Look at that broken egg. So we weren't sure what was going on. And then all of a sudden, Pepper came out, and underneath Pepper was baby chicks. She's a very protective mom. She doesn't like to let a lot of stuff around them. She did have 3 initially, but I guess one of them was up here by the goat feeders, and I don't know if it got squished or what, but she still has 2. She's taking really good care of them. She's teaching them how to go out and forage for their own food, and she's just being a really good mom. She puffs up whenever stuff gets around them. And like I said, when we initially saw her, she's sitting on her nest, and we saw the broken egg, and then it wasn't until she got up that we realized she had baby chicks under her. So really great mom. Pepper has always been one of the girls' favorite chickens that we've had, and we just had no idea that she's going to come out here and decide to be a free bird and live with the goats. And now she's a mama with the goats. So hopefully these other 2 make it. But I don't want to take them away from her because she loves taking care of her babies. And we don't want to do that to her. And I'm sure that the baby chicks would much rather have a shorter life with their mama if something happened than us to take them away. And I know that she would too, because she, like I said, is teaching them how to be the best little chickens ever. They're foraging for food. They follow with her. They dig in the hay and stuff with her. And so we just want them to enjoy life with their mama as long as they can. And hopefully they'll be able to grow up. But like I said, little baby chickens out on the wide open farm, it's not always a good sign that they're going to last very long. But hopefully they'll beat the odds and grow up to be good little mamas themselves someday. But yeah, they're just so neat to watch. Another thing we did too is we turned these guys out. They were all pinned up, and we decided they were making a mess with the chickens they were with. And these are some we actually hatched out from eggs that our ducks laid. And we decided to just put them out here in the goat pen and see how they do. They've been out here for a day now, and they are doing great. I did buy a couple of swimming pools that we're going to put out here. I'm going to try to make up a little shelter for them. that's away from the others, and then I don't know if I'm going to use cattle panels or something where they can squeeze through it, but maybe the goats can't. And then they can have their pools in there and have their own little shelter. And then Pepper may decide to use that with her babies too. It's just hard to say. Yeah, but it's neat having these out here. And like I said, once we get the goat pen down there, I'll probably just leave the chickens and stuff up here. And we may move some others out here too and just kind of let them have this for themselves. Because like I said, the ducks can fit through the wire, but they're happy in here. And so far they've not been causing any trouble. And like I said, I just need to get the swim pool out here, but I want to get something fixed up first because I'm afraid that if the cows or the goats step in it, then they may end up tearing it up and then they won't have a pool. So right now they can jump up in the waters and get stuff out from the goats' water and everything. But that's what's going on out here. Like I said, Pepper being the best little mama she can be. Hopefully we'll get to show some more of her and her babies a little later, as long as they make it. And then look at this girl. Snowflake is making a bag. She's our only goat that did not have babies this year. And it looks like she may be just a little bit late. Her old belly's sagging and she's making a bag. So hopefully we'll be sharing some babies with y'all too. Some baby goats. But that's what we've had going on lately. Like I said, the fence project, we're trying to get that done. We're really close now. We're almost ready to start stretching wire. We can get that done. Then we'll have to move a couple of gates and then build a little thing around the garden. And then we can get some animals put in there. I did buy some high magnesium minerals for the cows, but I got to get Comet out before I can give that to him because it's not good for him. And they need to be on that before they go out on the fresh green grass, because as big as that is, I don't want them to end up bloating or having some sort of thing like that. So we'll do the high magnesium minerals for a while before we turn them out on there. And we've got all these cute little babies running around. Like I said, it's just a lot of stuff going on, and we are so glad to have you along with us. And we hope that we can show you some more babies very soon of snowflakes. But that's all we've got for you today, and we'll catch you next time on Grounds Family Farm. Bye.
Peace. Bye.
All right, there's Johnny.
Johnny.
What do y'all see?
I see Colton.
Yeah. I see Cole.
I see Cole.
Look, it's a predator.